Today we're going to completely disassemble a Glock 19 Gen 4. I just bought this used and I want to completely take it apart so I can clean every piece and make it brand new. I'm going to give you high resolution, great camera angles, and great lighting so you can see every little step. Alright, let's get started. Alright, these are all the tools that you're going to need to disassemble the Glock 19. This is just a Glock front sight wrench. If you're not going to take the front sight off, you don't need that. The most important thing is some kind of a pin punch. This is just something that came in a Glock toolkit that I'll link down in the description. It's just a pin punch on the smaller side. This tool is used to remove the base plate from the Glock magazines, which are notoriously difficult to take apart. So this tool is a pretty important tool to have if you're going to take your magazine apart, but that's all that's for. A thin regular screwdriver like this is going to be very useful. A pair of needle nose pliers, and I like to use this Real Avid Smart bench block. It's useful for pushing pins out, but you can also use a block of wood or even a book or something like that. But these are the tools that I use. They'll be linked down in the description if you need any of these. Alright, first thing as usual is to make sure the gun is unloaded. So always first remove the magazine, lock the slide back, make sure there's no round in the chamber. And we're going to double check that because we are going to press the trigger in order to field strip the gun. So point the gun in a safe direction, press the trigger. Alright, once the trigger is locked to the rear, hold the gun like this and pull the slide back just about this much, quarter inch maybe, and then grab both sides of the takedown lever like this, pull them down, and then release the slide, and it will slide off the front of the gun. Alright, now at this point we're going to disassemble the slide, and we're going to do a complete slide disassembly. So remove the recoil spring and guide rod. The barrel will just lift up out of it like that. Next thing we want to do is remove the cover on the back here. And to do that, get your pin punch tool. Alright, now this is the back of the striker. This is called the firing pin lug. So in between that and there's a little black spacer right here. And when you press down on that, you'll see the whole spacer in the back here moving. Press that down and hold it down. And then you can push the back cover off like so. And there's a couple of spring-loaded things in here, so just kind of be careful. Keep your thumb over top. Now once the rear cover is off, now the firing pin assembly or striker assembly, this just comes out like this. Alright, and then that just pulls out the back. And this is your Glock firing pin assembly or striker assembly. We're also going to take this apart. Alright, now at this point, this is the back of the Extractor plunger, which holds the extractor in place. That's this right here is the extractor. See, if you pull up on this, you'll see it disappear from here. It's a long pin that goes right through here. So pull that out like that. Once that's out, you can remove the extractor, but before you do that, this firing pin safety plunger has a spring on it. So if you pull the extractor out, it's going to release this, and this might pop out and go flying across the room. So put a finger over that. Put a finger over that, and now you can kind of peel up the extractor. Extractor looks like this. Set that aside, and then this is now released. As you can see, it's popping up. Alright, then you can just pull that out like that. It's got a little spring on the bottom of it. And I'm not going to take this off right now, but this front sight tool fits down in this screw down in here. And that is what you unscrew to remove the front sight. I guess I can show you. Alright, and that is what a Glock front sight looks like. It's just plastic, and since this one's damaged, I might put something different in here. And here's the screw. It's got a very small flat head. That's why you need this special tool. It fits on that just right. Okay, now the slide is completely disassembled except for the rear sight, which I'm not going to mess with. You don't need to clean that. You don't necessarily need to pull that apart for cleaning, but these pieces do come apart. This comes out of there, and the spring comes off of the pin, but you don't necessarily need to do that. These are pretty clean. They didn't get too dirty. I'm just going to keep them together for now just so we don't lose anything. Alright, and this spring does come out of the bottom of the safety plunger there, so just kind of keep those together. Firing pin does come apart. Alright, now to take the firing pin or striker assembly apart, I use this bench block. I'll put a link in the description, but this is just a way to keep support on this part right here. So you want to get a grip on the spring right at the top here because we want to remove these cups, and they're going to fall apart as you'll see. So you get a good grip on the top of the spring and push it down, and then this piece kind of splits into two pieces. It's called the cup or cups. Get rid of those out of the way, and then gently release the pressure on the spring, and that'll come up and off of the pin. Alright, there's the two cups. They fell out the bottom, and then the spacer comes off the firing pin, and that is your firing pin disassembled. Alright, now that the slide has been taken completely apart for cleaning purposes, alright, next we're going to completely disassemble the frame for cleaning purposes. And basically the first thing we want to do is remove 1, 2, 3 pins. Each of these pins goes completely through the frame and they hold these interior pieces in place. Now you can push these through by kind of holding the gun up in the air, or you can put it on a book or something like that. I like to use my little bench block here. It's perfect for pushing pins out. Alright, so the first pin we want to pull out is this big one here, and that is because part of the slide lock lever sits in a notch on this pin. It kind of holds it in place. So what we want to do is kind of be able to move this around a little while we're putting pressure on the pin. That'll make it a little easier to get the pin out. Alright, so while I'm pushing down on this pin, I'm going to wiggle this a little bit in case it's difficult to come out. Just kind of put some pressure here. Okay. Fell all the way down through. So I just had a hold of this, so now I can just release that. And let's go ahead and push out the next pin. Alright, and that's just going to be this one here. This one should be pretty straightforward. Alright, that one came out as well. And that one looks like this. The big trigger pin has got 2 notches in it, and those notches are part of what keeps it from falling out. And the last pin we have is actually called the trigger housing pin. It does hold the back of the trigger housing back here. So I'm just going to set that up over one of the holes here, and we're just going to push that right out. And you may have a back strap, a beaver tail back strap, or any of the additional back straps back here, and that pin that we just pushed out would be holding those on. At this point, if you had a back strap on here, it would come off and you could unclip it from the back and remove that. Alright, now that we have all 3 of the pins removed, the next thing we want to do is pull out this locking block right here, and you can just use a tool to just kind of lever that up a little bit, and that should pull right out. Might be a little snug. Wiggle that out. Next we want to get the slide lock lever. That is going to lift right out like that. It's got this spring. There's no need to try and take that spring off of there. It's just a piece of spring steel that helps this move back and forth. Alright, and next your trigger housing back here and your actual trigger and your trigger bar is all kind of connected together, so you can lift it up from the ejector here like that and pull that one out. Okay, the only other things we have are the takedown lever right here, and down inside there we have the magazine release. Alright, now we're going to remove the magazine release. Alright, when we look down inside, we can see the magazine release spring right here. It's this piece of spring steel that sticks up. This is the magazine release, and the spring goes into a notch underneath that you can't really see. Here's a view from underneath. You can see how that piece of spring steel goes up into the notch of the magazine release. So what we want to do is put pressure on this side of the magazine release. That's to keep it from moving. You get a nice thin long screwdriver like this. Put it down in the corner here up against that spring. Lever it to the right. And pop it out of there just like that. Alright, so we just brought it around, and now the spring is sitting in front. And once the spring is in front of the magazine release, go in there with a pair of needle nose pliers, grab a hold of that spring and just pull it straight up. Alright, and all it is a piece of spring steel, as you can see. And now your magazine release will pull it out the side there just like that. And this is what your magazine release looks like. Alright, and now the last thing to remove is the takedown lever right here, which is just basically one piece, and there's a spring in the bottom that kind of pushes it in place. So you just take your pin punch, push down on the spring, okay, and then your lever will be released. Then your lever will slide out, basically either side. Alright, and then now you can gently lift up on this spring, get a hold of that, and gently pull that spring out. And lastly, if you want to take the trigger assembly apart, which I absolutely do because I see a fair amount of dirt and crud built up in here, I want to get this nice and clean. So this does come apart. This right here, we're not going to take the trigger shoe off of the trigger bar on this end. That's a little bit tricky to do. It's kind of meant to be a once and done kind of pin. Goes in there. There's no way to easily pull that pin out, and I don't want to ding this up. So I'm going to leave that on there. Really nothing in there that needs to be cleaned, but this side is a different story. Okay, so this is how it normally sits in the gun. This is your connector right here. So what we want to do is kind of hold on to this connector, hold on to this piece, and then just gently take that off layer like that. And we're just going to kind of finagle this up. And that spring is got a hold on it like that. All right, so we're just now going to bring the spring over and unhook the spring from that bar right there. And then just gently unhook the spring from this side as well. Just gently kind of work that spring off of there like that. All right, and this is your trigger bar. So now we can clean all this up. This is the trigger housing. So right in here, this is your connector. This is a critical area for the trigger. So we definitely want this to be nice and clean. So this actually can be pulled out of the housing right here. And then we can get all of this all cleaned up. All right, and this is your Glock 19 Generation 4. Completely disassembled. Now I can clean all of these pieces, reassemble it, and I'm going to have a brand new gun. This was just the disassembly. My next video is going to be cleaning and then the reassembly video. As soon as those are ready, I'll link to them up here in the corner. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please hit like below. Also, please see the description for all the tools that we used here today to disassemble this Glock 19. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.